So, does anyone want to talk about what the hell happened with the ending? So, yeah, here is my thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Remake or something else entirely. So, this game was very hyped up for a lot of people for years and years and years and years and years. That, hold on, trying to get my new display and everything right. Got my new, everything's been set up. You can see a whole bunch of stuff in the back, along with that massive blade that I will not talk about where we got that from. Greek, when my mom was in the military. But yeah, this this was okay. I never really played the original. Let me firstly say that. I never played the original, yet I know the story. I know what happens. I know Arif gets stabbed, and I know all the tragedy that happened. I know about the sequel video movie they did, Aberrant Child, or Children. And I know there's a lot of stuff that was really put into this universe of Final Fantasy VII. And now we got the remake, and everyone's like, I don't know what to think about that. I really don't know what to think about that. So here's what. This is where people were like, well, this is a remake. It's supposed to be a tribute to the old game and be a nostalgic field trip, except that's a remastered in my mind. To me, there's a difference between a remastered and a remake, and this is not actually a remake, really. Um, there was a lot of moments in this game that made me think something else, but yeah, the story played a lot of beats off of the original Final Fantasy VII game, and this this is the first part of a series of Final Fantasy VII games because they wanted to expand so much about it. But now it's like not only are they expanding it, like showing more areas of Midgar, showing more of the civilian life, giving character development to Jesse, Wedge, and the rest of Avalanche, especially Jesse. Like, let's be honest, a lot of the female characters are awesome, but yeah. When so this is the ending that everyone kept getting talking about. Like, the game to them was very good, a very homage to the original and really tributing to it, a love letter to many fans. But then the ending comes in, and no, and there were suggestions going on throughout the game. When I realized it, I thought about it for some time after I beat the game. Was this is more a reimagining than it is a remake. That term that Hollywood directors threw out when they remade Planet of the Apes in 2000, and that movie was a complete disaster for many people. But a lot of people were still trying to decipher what the hell happened. Like, now they introduced time traveling, the Arbiters of Fate. They introduced all this crazy complex stuff. And then I looked up, wait, who's the guy in charge of this? Then I looked it up. It was Tetsuya Norma, the guy who made Kingdom Hearts, one of the most overly complicated games in the history of games, which was supposed to be marketed to children. Yeah. Um, you got this stuff going on, and now people are like, well, what just happened? Is this what's next? They kept saying that this is a remake, and even one of the co-directors said that, oh, this is not going to interfere with the original story, even though it clearly did interfere with the original story, and giving these future hints and everything what's going to happen in the future. So here's the thing that made me think of something regarding this. So I looked at the old. So remember that scene at the end of Final Fantasy VII? You see Aerith having her eyes open and then closing, but when the opening starts in the remake, her eyes are closed and then opening with the same glow of green. I just kept thinking, like, okay, there's something more going on here. That there has to be more. There is no way they could have changed the ending, one little detail, for no reason. Like in Tatsuri Norma's world, and yes, the original Final Fantasy VII writer was on this, so this clearly had his consent, so no complaints on that. But this leads to my thought about what the hell is going on. Is was this building up to something? Is this changing the ending? Is Arif gonna survive? And then there were moments in the game where things were clearly different. Like the members of Avalanche are all alive, even though we don't see Jessie. She's clearly alive. Her gloves and stuff are there. She's most likely still alive. You got these creatures of fate and trying to keep things the way they are, like preventing certain characters from altering the events, even though the events have been significantly altered now. You got time travel, basically. Zack Fair being alive now in a new revised timeline, which I'll get to that. And now you got the Arif being very more cryptic than usual. Like, we know who she is, etc., and everything, but in terms of, wait, what is she doing? Why is she acting so cryptic here? More so than usual. Like, there are heavy moments, and this is what I was thinking when I saw this. This is not a remake. This is not a reboot, and it's probably not even a reimagining. When I looked at this, I was thinking, you know, this kind of looks like a sequel. And I mean exactly in that way. When I think of the sequel of idea, it's like how they did with Mortal Kombat when they wanted to restart the timeline because everything went to hell for Raiden and the others after the events of Armageddon. And the idea was that Raiden is nearly killed, is almost defeated, about to be killed. He uses his memories and whatnot to go back in time to contact his past self with these visions, leading to, well, a much different timeline. And that made me think, Sephiroth is much more different. He's like doing something more differently than he did in the original, and Aerith even acting much different than the original at times. Like, you would notice certain scenes where she says these creatures are always coming after her. She would say she feels like she loses a part of herself. There are moments where she does stuff that she even doesn't know why she's doing it. And that made me think, wait, did Aerith, after her death and probably after Average Child, did she subconsciously do what Raiden did? Travel back in time because there is some fans were suggesting that that they were trying to make Tifa and Cloud a thing, because in the original it was always left open to interpretation until Square Enix decided with that movie that, oh, they're not going to get together because he's still mourning over the death of Aerith and what happened to her. And I was thinking, like, did Aerith subconsciously send her memories of everything that went down in Final Fantasy VII and her live stream essence thing that they brought up, and use it to go back in time and transfer everything that happened in Final Fantasy VII and Average Children. And this leads into Sephiroth finding a way to go back in time to try and change his fate. And now Sephiroth might be more dangerous than ever. Like, that was my theory going on heading into when I saw the ending and everything. Like, Sephiroth now absorbing the power of the meteor and everything, the chaos he foresaw, the constant appearances more so than ever, instead of how he would show up like a quarter way in and then it would reveal he killed the president, except now the president's death is a lot bit different, but it's still the same threat. And how he tried to kill Barrett and the wheels of fate stopped that. So I get the feeling like Sephiroth went back in time, or here's my best theory. My idea was that, okay, Sephiroth probably returned after the events of Final Fantasy VII, killed everyone. Aerith, using the last of her powers of the live stream, transferred her memories back in time to the Aerith of the past to try and change the history. Sephiroth caught wind of this and went back in time as well to change history, except now he's physically there, whereas Aerith is just more of a memory, having memory fragments of it. And now the Wheels of Fate are trying to like say, oh no, this has to end. This is how it all's supposed to end. So you shouldn't have to change it. But now, and then basically you kill God in the end. And now you get all this stuff going on, and now no one knows what's going to happen. Zack's alive. And people were like, wait, how does Zack live if Cloud still has the Buster Sword? Okay, so some people were arguing that it's just another timeline. It's not the Final Fantasy Remake timeline. It's another timeline within a timeline. And I was thinking, like, no, I know it's Tetsuya Norma, and he loves his very, 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 very complicated stuff. But here's a simpler way to explain this in my eyes. The idea, how about this? Zack survives after his battle with the Shinra guards in Ambush Party. Zack survives. He goes ahead and takes Cloud to Midgar. Some time passes. He has to leave eventually again. He gives Cloud his Buster Sword, saying he's ready or something, or yada yada yada. And but Cloud doesn't remember this because the timeline's been altered, and he doesn't know this. If Zack's running around now, he just thinks that everything just went the way it did. Well, there is the 7 seconds to defy fate, which, Final Fantasy VII. So now you either get 3 timelines or 2, with one of them being significantly altered, that saved Avalanche's members, that saved Zack's life, and now Aerith might not be the original Aerith, and she's slowly but surely trying to get back her memories of the future. But now you get all this moments going on. And now it's like, okay, so what happens now? If the Wheels of Fate have changed and the journey is now unknown, where does this all go? Where do the characters go with this? Where does everyone go from there? Where does everyone go from there? Do certain moments still happen? Does Yuffie and the other cast members join the party? Or the missions change now? Is the priority set? Is Rufus Shinra gonna die like he did in the original, or is he gonna somehow survive? Like now it's like I think Square Enix was in this kind of winning situation, was basically deciding, okay, you see, this is a guaranteed win. People have been asking this for years. So screw the guaranteed win. We want to take risks. So who's the best guy we can do to take risks and make things very complicated? Tetsuya Norma. Yeah, he's pretty insane. So, yeah, they got this guy to do it, and now you have this new altered universe of the Final Fantasy VII timeline, and now people are going to try and wonder what's going to happen now. Is the characters back, or is Zack alive? Is he running around somewhere around the planet of Gaia? Is Aerith's fate now changed? Like, you got all this stuff going on, all this unknown variables. This reminds me of basically what they tried to do with The Last Jedi, except Disney bailed on it because they didn't like it. As much as they'll say, oh, it was the fans that did it. I mean, like, there was probably a huge degree on that. But Disney doesn't care. Like, Square Enix cares about... Unlike how Tetsuya Norma or all the other people would care about their product. If they did care... If Disney cared more about the creative stuff instead of more of the money stuff, we would be having more Clone Wars quality stuff going on instead of whatever the hell Rise of Skywalker was. And oh, don't worry, its day of reckoning is coming, my friend. Its day of reckoning is coming. So now you get this huge stuff going on, the unknown variables, this altered timeline, and no one knows what's going to happen now. I'm curious to see where this goes. I'm looking forward to the sequel and the multiple iterations they'll probably do. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a trilogy. But now it's like, what's going to happen next? Like, is certain moments going to still happen, or are they going to be changed? We didn't see Yuffie or the others in those flash forward memories, so maybe their fates are still set to join up with Cloud and the others. But now we get all this big stuff going on, and now we don't know what's going to be the ending. One of the co-directors said, oh, it's not going to change the original, even though it clearly did. I'm just hoping, you know what? We have the original, and they could probably go back and make a remastered version of that for HD graphics like this one, or they can do that and still make a huge buck by doing a reimagining sequel idea of time travel involvement with the Final Fantasy VII universe. All I know is that now, with all of these potential opportunities now with time being altered, there's a lot of stuff that can be done with this now, and I'm really curious to see where they go with this. So I ultimately enjoyed this experience. I did enjoy the ending. Probably it's going to lead to a more optimistic ending. Like, if Final Fantasy VII was like the Kingdom Hearts stuff, where they have 3 sequels and yet multiple in between titles that are sequels actually, but not really, then yeah, then they would probably do a dark ending but build it up to another part of the story. Whereas Final Fantasy VII is its own universe, which will eventually be destroyed and rebooted into Final Fantasy 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, past over that, and all that craziness. So we got all this going on. I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy VII's future and this new opportunity of storytelling they could go with, the subversive narrative they're doing. So those were my thoughts on Final Fantasy VII, the remake. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more. And I can honestly say this is now officially Era 3.